لا إله إلا الله 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 لا إله إلا الله جود علينا.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. After praising Allah Almighty and sending salutations, peace and blessings upon the best of creation, the jewel and crown of creation, the beloved of Allah Almighty, the coolness to our heart, the reviver of our hearts, the inspirer to our minds, the awakener of our souls, the most honored one, the most praised one, the most generous one, the most kind one. Undoubtedly, he is the most beautiful one. None other than Sayyiduna Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa ala alihi wa ashabihi wa barak wa sallam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala trials people. He tests people through poverty, sickness, death. He certainly said in the Quran, وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ بِشَيْءٍ مِّنَ الْخَوْفِ. We will certainly trial you and test you through fear. وَالْجُوعِ, through hunger. وَنَقْسٍ مِّنَ الْأَمْوَالِ وَالْأَنفُسِ وَالثَّمَرَاتِ, and through loss of life, loss of wealth, poverty, loss of fruits, which Mufassirin have said fruits refers to children. That Allah Almighty will give you children and then take them from you. Why? وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ, because we want to test you. Allah Almighty said that He wants to test me and you. And He'll test us through these trials. One of them is sickness. Sickness is a test from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When people fall ill, what should they do? What should a person do when he falls ill? He should be encouraged to, and he himself should concentrate on remembering Allah. وَكَثْرَةُ الْإِسْتِغْفَارِ. He should increase his istighfar when he falls ill. And he should do tawbah from his previous sins. And the times of ghaflat and forgetfulness. Since when a person falls ill, he doesn't know whether this illness will lead him to death. Many people, अचानक बीमारी हो गई सी तो फौत हो गया. We hear this. कि अचानक इस बंदे नू बीमारी हो गई है तो वो फौत हो गया सी. यानी बीमारी दी वजह तो. He fell ill and he passed away. When he fell ill, he went to the doctors, he went to the hospital, he took his medicine, he thought he'd be cured. But he didn't know that his illness would lead him to his death. That would be the cause of his death, be it heart attack, be it liver failure, be it renal failure, whatever it may be. He did not know, he did not think that his illness would be the cause of his death. This is why whenever you fall ill, even if you have a fever, a temperature, whatever type or form of illness that you may have that befalls you as a test from Allah Almighty, immediately you should do tawbah and istighfar. You should do tawbah and istighfar and ask Allah Almighty, oh Allah forgive me, oh Allah forgive me, oh Allah forgive me, have mercy on me, forgive me. For you don't know whether you will recover from this illness. You don't know whether Allah will give you another life post-illness. Many people get ill, we have the medicine, we have the facilities, we get cured. Ultimately, shifa is with Allah. He is ash-shafi. Allah Almighty is the one who will cure us, ultimately, no doubt. But nobody knows what such illness could be the reason and cause, potentially, of our departure from this world. This is why we should conclude a person when he is dying, when he falls ill, when he's in his last moments in the dunya, prior to this he should do istighfar and tawbah, and what else? that this individual should increase doing good deeds. And doing tawbah and istighfar, this is a'malu salihah. These are righteous actions. These are good actions. There is benefit in this. There is khair in this. There is goodness inside this. And we should also remember that sickness, illnesses are reminders of the akhirah. They are a reminder of the hereafter, and that we shall return to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. People should mark their legacies and give instructions and do their wasiyas prior to their death from this world, so that all the matters of this dunya remain inside this dunya. You've concluded your life of this world, al-hayatul dunya. You've concluded this worldly life. So, if a person owes money, he should deal with this prior to his death. And if he has upset someone, hurt someone, he has broken ties with people, he should mend and fix those ties. He should correct these, for he does not want to turn back to Allah Almighty in a state where somebody has a debt over him. This doesn't mean a monetary debt, financial debt. No. A person could hold you on the day of judgment. He could hold you back from entering into Jannah because you said something bad to him. Your one bad word to someone could be the reason for you not entering into paradise. So don't make yourself victim to this. Don't make yourself culprit to this on the day of judgment. Hence why before you leave this dunya, ask for forgiveness. And here we're talking about those deaths which are not sudden. We hear many a time, achanak maut aa gayi. Somebody's passed away suddenly. We're not talking about somebody who has passed away suddenly. We're talking about someone who has been trialed and tested through illness. Bimari ki wajah se uski maut aayi hai. This is why we should also remind that person who is sick and nearing his death that he should have good opinion of Allah. He should have husnul zan billah. He should have good opinion and thought for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He should not be in a state where he thinks that he will be severely punished. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said in al-hadith al-Qudsi that Allah Almighty said, Ana inda zanni abdi bi wa ana ma'ahu idha dhakarani. That I am as my servant thinks of me. Whatever my abd, my servant thinks of me, that's what I am. And I am with him when he remembers me. If he remembers me alone, I will remember him alone. If he remembers me in a gathering, I will remember him in a gathering better than that gathering. So, I am as my servant thinks of me. If he thinks I am Al-Jabbar and Al-Qahar, which Allah is, that Allah Almighty is going to punish him and Allah Almighty is going to trial and test him, then I am as he thinks I am. But if he thinks that I am Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, I am most merciful, if my servant thinks I am most merciful, then I am most merciful to him. You should have good opinion of Allah Jalla wa Ala. He is the most merciful, He is most forgiving. He is Al-Wadud. Allah Jalla wa Ala is Al-Wadud. This is one of His names. That He is Wadud, He is loving. Allah is generous and kind. Allah is loving towards His servants. He is merciful towards His servants. These are the qualities and names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we should have good opinion of Allah Jalla wa Ala. Especially that person who is on his deathbed. The person who is about to leave this world, he should have good opinion of him. He sallallahu alayhi wa sallam once entered upon a young person, he was sick. Rasulullah salatu wasalam went to visit a person who was sick. He was a youngster, he was a young sick man. And asked him, how are you? How is your state? And he said that I am hoping in my Lord. I have raja' billah. I have hope in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He is merciful. And at the same time, I am fearful of my sins. I'm scared about the sins that I have committed, that Allah's punishment is severe. And Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam said, never do these two things unite in the heart of a Muslim. Never do these two things come inside the heart of a Muslim in such a situation except Allah Almighty will grant him what he hopes for, and Allah Almighty will safeguard and safekeeping from what he fears. Khawf and raja, hope and fear. If these two things are inside the heart of a believer, then Allah Almighty will grant him what he hopes, and Allah Almighty will safeguard him from what he fears. What did he say? When Rasulullah salatu wasalam asked this young man who was ill, how are you? He said, hoping in Allah. I have hope in Allah. But I also have fear in my heart for my sins. I have fear of my sins. Whoever has hope and fear in his heart, inside his heart, Allah Almighty will grant him all that he hopes for and safeguard him from all that he fears. Allah will grant him. He hopes in Allah, then Allah will give him hope. Allah will give him what he desires. And he fears for his sins, then Allah will forgive him. But in a person who is ill, hope should be predominant. A person who is ill, hope should be predominant. And we know, we talk about this, we educate you sitting here about these matters because we have seen many people around us fall ill. We have seen many people around us who have had terminal illnesses. We have visited the ill. On the day of judgment, Allah Almighty will ask, why didn't you visit me? The man will say, how could I visit you? He said, when so and so person you heard he was ill, did you not go and visit him? Had you visited him, you would have found me there as well. This is why they say that you should visit ill people. Because when the ill person looks at the healthy person, he sees upon the healthy person a crown which says that I am healthy. You have what I don't have. But the truth and reality is, he has what we don't have. The ill person has what we don't have, which is qurb ilallah, closeness to Allah Jalla wa Ala. The ill person is far closer to Allah Almighty than me and you. This is why when you go there, what should you do? You should ask them, make dua for me. For your du'as will be accepted. You are far closer to Allah Almighty than I am. We should ask the people who are ill. We should serve the people who are ill. For these are chosen people of Allah Jalla wa Ala. Remember, Allah Almighty tests people through illness. He is not going to then punish them on the day of judgment. If anything, such illnesses, terminal illnesses, such as cancer, and other illnesses that we see around us that are prevalent and common, these such illnesses, by Allah, for such people, they are tickets to Jannah. They are fast tracks to Jannah. They are closer to Allah Almighty. But unfortunately, when you sit with someone ill, most of the time what comes from their mouth? Complaints. Oh, I've got this problem. Oh, I've got this problem. Oh, this is an issue. I'm so ill, ye bimari hai, ye ho gaya, wo ho gaya. No. We shouldn't complain to Allah Almighty. In this state of illness, you should do shukr to Allah. It's a mindset. It's a mindset. It is a psychology. It's a way of thinking. If you can understand this now, that Allah Almighty, I've seen many people at the same time who have fallen ill, that has led them to their death, but they are radi billah. They are pleased with Allah Almighty. They have no complaints. They do shukr to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They thank Allah Almighty. They said this is all from Allah. Ultimately, sickness, death, poverty, all of these are from who? From Allah Jalla wa Ala. When you understood that this is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, half the battle is won. You've understood this is from Allah. He's testing me, He's trialing me. I'll do my best, I'll try my best to get better, to do what I need to do. But ultimately, all power lies with whom? Allah Jalla wa Ala. It lies with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So hope should be predominant in the state of those people who are ill, especially when the signs of death are very near, so that he may think well and good of Allah Almighty before he dies, hoping for Allah Almighty's generosity and the vastness of His infinite mercy, and also yearning to meet Him. Man liqa Allah, man ahabba liqa Allah, ahabba Allahu liqa'ahu. He who loves, who wishes to meet Allah, Allah Almighty loves to see him as well, meet him as well. Yani Sayyidina Abu Darda radiyallahu an, he was from the Sahaba radiyallahu anhum. He was from amongst them one of the most ascetic companions, God-fearing. I mean, they were all muttaqun, there's no doubt. But Sayyidina Abu Darda, he was like a hermit. He was someone who lived his life, he lived in the dunya, but the dunya did not live inside him. One night, all the debts that were owed to him were given to him. He did not sleep all night. By the morning, every penny, 100, 200,000 dirhams he had gone and given to the poor. His wife said, "What are you doing?" He said, "What is this? Dunya. This will not follow me into my grave." Yani he was such a high level of righteousness and piety. He had no love of the dunya inside his heart. He said, "I love three things that mankind, people despise. There's three things that I love that all humans hate, but I love them." He said, "I love poverty. I want to be poor." He said, "I love illness. I want to be ill all the time." He said, "I love death. More than anything, I want to die. I want to leave this dunya." Yani with good intention. His wife, murideen, disciples, in Abu Darda, he lived in Syria. After the Prophet ﷺ had passed away, his wife, Sayyidah Darda, radiyallahu anhuma, she asked, "What is wrong with you, Abu Darda? Everyone wants good health, praise, Allahumma afini, Allahumma arzuqna as-sihha, grant us good health, grant us good health, grant us good health. And you ask, oh Allah, make me ill. What is this?" He said, "When I'm ill, I ask for illness. Everyone else asks for health. I ask for illness, for this brings me closer to Allah Almighty. If this is what will get me closer to Allah Almighty, then may I remain ill forever." Then he said, "I desire poverty. I want to be poor." People come, they may not ask the Imam Sahib or the Maulana or the Sheikh, "Make dua, Allah make me rich." But we all sit here subconsciously, we'd all love to be millionaires right now. No debts, plenty of capital in the bank accounts, no owing, living an easy, comfortable life for us, our children, our grandchildren, great-grandchildren. We want easy life. We all sit here with, not all of us, illa mashallah, with mortgages on our heads, overheads, bills. We're living life. In this part of the world, the way the world is designed, we are slaves to this system. That's the reality. Me and you, we are slaves. We are, unfortunately, ibadud dunya, slaves of this dunya. We're not ibadur rahman. When we have time, we'll make time for Allah. Rather, we'll give 8, 9, 10 hours to our work, our businesses, the dunya. We have to, we have no choice. We have children, we have overheads. Yani, Allah will reward you for the work you do. Don't ever downplay the power and the importance of halal rizq. Kasb rizq halal. There is so much barakah inside. He who goes out striving to earn a halal income and living for his family, if he was to die in this way, he will die the death of a martyr. Allah will grant him the maqam of a shaheed. Why? Because look what he's doing. Look how he's living his life. He's living his life with the aim to earn the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's living his life to earn rizq halal for his family and children. This is beloved to Allah Almighty. There's a saying, Al-Kasibu Habibullah. That the one who earns halal rizq, who does kasb rizq halal, he is Habibullah. He is beloved to Allah Almighty. Allah loves these people. So every person sitting here who is working hard for his money, if your niyat is to please Allah Almighty and to put food on the table of your children, then you are beloved to Allah Almighty. You are doing something good. There were Sahaba like Sayyidina Abu Bakr and Umar, they used to work. They were businessmen. We don't condemn business. We don't say don't do business. We don't say don't work. No, work, do business, do all of these things. But there are very few like Sayyidina Abu Darda who live their life where they live in the dunya, but the dunya does not live inside them. Sayyidina Abu Darda radiyallahu anhu, he said, everyone asks to be rich. We all love to be rich. We'd all love to have this comfort. But remember, with wealth comes test and trial as well. Innama amwalukum wa awladukum fitna. Allah will trial you and test you through your wealth and through your children. You know, Biggie Smalls, what did he say? More money, more problems. Did he not say this? Did he not make this song in the 90s? He rapped, more money, more problems. You know, these are people who live their life in the dunya, even they will tell you, more money, more problems. The less money, the less problems. But we say, less money, no living, standard of life is less. You know, the Sahaba radiyallahu anhum, in the battle of Khandaq, when they spent their days and nights digging the trenches to protect the city of Medina Munawwara and the Sahaba radiyallahu anhum from the enemy, everything, what were they saying? La aisha illa aishul akhirah. There is no life except the life of the hereafter. This dunya is the dunya. Yes, you do business. Yes, you work for your children. Yes, you earn your halal rizq. Yes, you provide for them. This is an obligation upon you as a father. كلكم راع وكلكم مسؤول عن رعيته. Every one of you is a shepherd, and every shepherd will be asked about his flock and herd. You are the shepherd of your family. You must provide for them. You must be good to them, of course. But we mustn't let this be taking over our life that we have no time for Allah and His Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We have no time to study the deen and to get closer to Allah Almighty. That when times are hard, then we remember Allah Jalla wa Ala. No. Sayyidina Abu Darda radiyallahu anhu, he said, everyone desires wealth, I desire poverty. Why? So that I am only muhtaj to Allah Rabbi Zul Jalal. I am only relying and dependent upon Allah Almighty. I do not lift my hands to anyone other than Allah Almighty. I raise my hands in His court. The more poor I am, the more I will raise my hand in Allah's courts and ask Allah Jalla wa Ala. Everyone desires death. He says, everyone desires a long life. Allah Ta'ala aapko umre khizri ata farmaye. Ye dua dete hain na. We say, Allah, give him long life. Give him a nice long life. Sayyidina Abu Darda says, I want to die. I want to... Why? He said, there is nothing I desire more and love than meeting Allah Jalla wa Ala. I want to meet Allah Almighty. Man ahabba lika Allah, ahabba Allahu lika'ah. He who loves to meet Allah Almighty, Allah Almighty loves to meet him as well. So we must I'm not sitting here and lecturing and advising and educating you and giving you this advice that you should stop and renounce the entire dunya and become hermits and become monks and become the great maqam of the people of tasawwuf and spirituality. No. Live in the dunya, but do not let the dunya live inside your hearts. Keep the love of the dunya out of your hearts. Reserve and give your heart to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the love of Allah. If we can give our hearts to the love of Allah Almighty, then my brothers, we will be the most content people, we will be the most satisfied people, we will be the most happiest people. When your relationship with Allah Almighty is right. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us from those people. That He is pleased with us and we are pleased with Him. We love to meet Him and He loves to meet us. And that we are close to Allah Jalla wa Ala and that we earn His pleasure and that may Allah Almighty forgive us as well. وأقول قولي هذا استغفر الله لي ولكم وآخر دعوايا عن الحمد لله رب العالمين.
الله الله لا إله إلا الله جود علي